Good morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are, and welcome to Global Atheist News. This week's headlines. Russian journalist Marina Ovsyannikova tells of her 14-hour interrogation. The Church of England pressurizes TotalEnergies over its Russia business. An Oxford Russian Orthodox church was ransacked in a burglary. A Texas lawmaker introduces a bill to allow the death penalty for women who have abortions. Republican candidate Herschel Walker is skeptical of evolution. He says, "Why are there still apes? Think about it." Joseph Kennedy, a former football coach at Bremerton High School in Washington, violated the religious freedom of his players by pressuring them to join his public prayers. His case is ongoing. A proposed law in Egypt would ban journalists from talking about religion. Saudi blogger Raif Badawi, who was imprisoned for insulting Islam 10 years ago, is finally freed. Marina Ovsyannikova, an editor at the Russian state-controlled Channel 1, was detained after she ran onto the set on Monday, holding up a sign saying "No war," as we reported midweek. She said she had been questioned for 14 hours and had not slept for 2 days and was not given access to legal help. A 30,000 ruble, £214 or $280 fine was issued relating to her video message. She had pleaded not guilty to the charge of organizing an unauthorized public event. In the video, she called on the Russian people to protest against the war, saying, "Only they have the power to stop all this madness. Don't be afraid of anything. They can't imprison us all," she said. It's not clear if she will face separate charges relating to her protest on live TV, and there have been fears that she would be prosecuted under a more serious new criminal law that bans calling Russia's military action in Ukraine an invasion or spreading fake news about the conflict. After the court hearing, Ms. Ovsyannikova told reporters that she needed to rest after 2 days without sleep. "I wasn't allowed to get in touch with my family or friends. I was denied access to a lawyer," she said. She also stressed that she came up with the idea of the protest alone. "It was my anti-war decision. I made this decision by myself because I don't like Russia starting this invasion. It was really terrible," she said as she left the courthouse. Lawyers were unable to locate Ms. Ovsyannikova for several hours after she was detained on Monday evening. Her whereabouts were unknown until an image circulated on Russian media which showed her in court with lawyer Anton Gashinsky. See this video.
To the Russians, I wanted to show them you're zombified by this Kremlin propaganda. Stop believing it.
Воздействие западных санкций говорил сегодня Михаил Мишустин. На встрече со своим белорусским коллегой российский премьер подчеркнул, надо усилить сотрудничество в рамках союзного государства, а на совещании в правительстве обсуждали, как сохранить моя фигура, моя личность.
There are lots of conspiracy theories building up about me. That this was a fake, that it was set up by the FSB, or I'm a project of Western Special Forces. That's why I had to explain to the world what really happened. The fact that I'm just a normal Russian woman, but I could not remain indifferent after Russia invaded Ukraine. I knew that if I went to protest in Central Square, I would be arrested like everyone else and thrown into a police van and be put on trial. Half the poster was in Russian, Half the poster was in English. I really wanted to show the Western audience that some Russians are against war. As to the Russians, I wanted to show them you're zombified by this Kremlin propaganda. Stop believing it.
Хватит верить.
Tell me a bit about what happened after the protest.
Ну, как бы основной допрос.
The main interrogation went on for about 13 or 14 hours.
Никто не хотел верить, что это...
Nobody believed it was my personal decision. They were coming up with different versions. They suggested it could be a conflict at work, relatives who were angry about Ukraine, or that I was doing it for Western special services.
Изыски западных спецслужб.
They couldn't believe that I had so many objections to the government that I could not stay silent.
What do you think your future now holds for you and for your children here in Russia?
Ой, ну вы знаете, это очень сложный вопрос, потому что...
It's a hard question, because my eldest son said that I have ruined the life of the whole family. Probably he doesn't understand now, but I hope in the future my children will understand this sacrifice was not for nothing.
Поэтому это очень...
I don't know what the future holds for us.
Я не знаю, что будет дальше.
The Church of England is putting pressure on TotalEnergies over its decision not to cut business ties with Russia in the wake of its Ukraine invasion. In a joint letter to TotalEnergies Chief Executive Patrick Poyan, the Pension Board and the Church Commissioners for England noted that the company was at odds with the actions taken by many of its peers. The Church's investment funds said they would reconsider their shareholding in the French energy giant. The two funds also called for the firm to urgently review its decision. TotalEnergies has condemned Russia's aggression, but has not followed BP and Shell in withdrawing from Russia. The company did not respond to a request for comment, and it was not immediately clear how large a stake the Church of England's Pensions Board and the Church Commissioners Investment Fund hold in TotalEnergies. They did not respond to requests for comment. Last month, the Church's Pensions Board and the Church Commissioners Fund dumped £20 million worth of investment in Russian businesses. They also banned any further investments in the country. A Russian Orthodox church was ransacked and several valuable items were stolen after it was broken into. St. Nicholas the Wonder Worker in Oxford was burgled in the early hours of Saturday, causing a great deal of damage, Archpriest Stephen Platt said. Collection boxes for Ukrainian refugees and the church's safe were forced open and relics and crosses were stolen. Thames Valley Police are investigating and Sunday's service was able to go ahead as normal. Father Stevens said, "Fortunately, although the Holy Table was interfered with, the antimension and the tabernacle containing the holy gifts were left undisturbed. The church safe and money boxes were forced open with violence, and the proceeds of a collection to support refugees from Ukraine was stolen. The church bookstall was burgled and stock taken." A Republican lawmaker in Texas has introduced a bill that would allow the death penalty for women who have abortions. Texas State Representative Brian Slayton, Republican, said on Twitter, "Today I filed HB 3326 to abolish abortion in Texas. The bill will end the discriminatory practice of terminating the life of innocent children and will guarantee the equal protection of the laws to all Texans, no matter how small," he said. The bill would ban abortions at fertilization, whereas most abortions in Texas are only prohibited after 20 weeks. Slayton's proposal is not the first time a Texas lawmaker has proposed the death penalty for abortion. Texas State Representative Tony Tinderholt, Republican, introduced a similar measure in 2019, classifying abortion as a homicide. The legislation comes as GOP states seek to aggressively restrict or ban abortions in an effort to get the Supreme Court to overturn the 1973 Roe versus Wade decision. In recent remarks, Republican Senate candidate Herschel Walker cast doubt on the theory of evolution, saying that the facts that apes and humans coexist disproves accepted science. Walker is currently the front runner in the GOP contest to challenge Senator Raphael Warnock, Democrat, Georgia, in November. He's a former NFL star who has the endorsement of former President Donald Trump, and he's outspoken about his Christian faith. See this video.
So it didn't just some bomb blew up in the store. I'll tell you something else I heard. Now think about this, because at one time science said man came from apes. Did it not?
That's when you go to the science. Every time I read or hear that, I think to myself, you just didn't read the same Bible I did.
Well, this was interesting though. If that is true, why are there still apes? Think about it.
You know, now you're getting too smart for it.
No. Think about this. We have an evolution we've gotten so intelligent that if that is true, why are there still apes? And then the conception of a baby. Let me tell you, science can't do that. They still trying to do it, but they can't because there had to be a God. So when God came and said, now let me create this, and God created the earth, and he put Adam and Eve there and stuff. And then this what was so funny, this what makes it even better. Even in that little garden, he said, from this place, you got all the freedom, just like we got it in the United States. You got all the freedom, do whatever you want to do. But then he said, nah, don't mess with that tree over there, because you mess with that tree, you will surely die. So you had rules and regulations, just like we got it in the United States of America.
Walker is hardly the first GOP candidate who has run for office questioning evolution. Humans did not evolve from the apes that you see at the zoo. Rather, humans and modern apes have a common, and now extinct, ancestor that lived roughly 10 million years ago. Technically, all humans are apes, but that doesn't mean that chimpanzees are one step away from becoming people. Walker's summary of evolution is incorrect, and there's nothing incompatible about humans coexisting with other apes. Joseph Kennedy, a former football coach at Bremerton High School in Washington, violated the religious freedom of his players by pressuring them to join his public prayers at the 50-yard line in their football games. The school district repeatedly offered him time and space for personal prayer while on the job, but he refused, demanding that he be able to pray at the center of the field out loud and with the students. Kennedy sued the district. Despite lower courts affirming that Kennedy's actions undermined the religious freedom of Bremerton's students, Kennedy's lawyers have spun a deceitful narrative to push this case to the Supreme Court. Americans United, joined by religious and non-religious communities alike, is fighting to protect the separation of church and state, the religious freedom of these students, and the constitutional rights of all Americans. Americans United for Separation of Church and State, which represents the Bremerton School District, issued the following statement. The facts of this case are clear. High school players felt pressurized to join their coach's public prayers at the 50-yard line at public high school football games, Laser said. Our country's foundational principle of church-state separation means that no one should ever have to choose between their religious freedom and being part of the team. Mr. Kennedy's attorneys are distorting the facts as part of a coordinated effort by a shadow network of religious extremists and their political allies to undermine church-state separation, Laser, the spokesman for Americans United, said. The Supreme Court should protect the First Amendment rights of students and all of us by affirming that the Bremerton School District did the right thing. Americans United for Separation of Church and State can be supported in the URL in the details below this video. A proposed law in Egypt would ban journalists from talking about religion at all. Atheist Republic reports in this video.
Egypt proposes law that would ban journalists from talking about religion. On February 20th, Tariq Radwan, head of the Human Rights Committee of the Egyptian Parliament, proposed a law which bans, quote-unquote, non-specialist journalists from discussing religion. The proposal is in response to journalist Ibrahim Isa's recent controversial statements that dismissed the Islamic story of the Prophet Muhammad's ascension to heaven as delusional. Egypt's prosecutor general also investigated Isa for possible blasphemy charges. The proposed law intends to, quote-unquote, avoid chaos in society by limiting or stopping the discussion of religion and religious topics in broadcast media.
Now some good news. Saudi blogger Raif Badawi has been released from prison after serving a 10-year sentence for advocating an end to religious influence on public life, his wife said last Friday. Raif called me. He is free. Ensaf Haidar, who lives in Canada with their 3 children and had been advocating for his release, said, I jumped when I found out. I couldn't believe it. I can't wait to see my dad. I'm so excited. One of his daughters, Noorja Badawi, 18, said. Badawi's son, Terad, tweeted, after 10 years, my father is free. My Free Thought Hour guest this week is ghostwriter Luna Corbden. We will discuss her journey from Mormonism and human sexuality. It will be starting in a few minutes, so stay tuned to this channel. Come and chat with us live and bring your friends. The GAN team will be back with our weekly news review next week. Please like, share, subscribe, comment, and set the notifications. This has been Global Atheist News. Thank you for watching.